In 2019, Hideo Kojima released his magnum opus, Death Stranding. The first title from Kojima Productions, the video game is noteworthy because it's the first released by Kojima since his ties with Konami were severed, which meant that he had the license to get weird. And get weird he most certainly did. Case in point. The game sees players assume the role of Sam Porter Bridges, a fourth wall breaking Norman Reedus, and make deliveries all over the US in a world that's been decimated by a pandemic of sorts, while survivors lock down in their bunkers and heap praise on essential workers. All of which sounded like absolute nonsense at the time of the game's release. Then 2020 hit and suddenly the concept of the game became a little more clear. My video of Call of Duty's Mall at the Pines was received well enough that I thought I'd visit another virtual mall today. The remains of the Middle Knot City Mall, near Death Stranding's Lake Knot City. Much of the world we know today is decimated in Death Stranding, with most of the USA looking more like Iceland thanks to timefall, rain that accelerates the passage of time. I find it interesting that although we never see any real landmarks in the game, like the Statue of Liberty a la Planet of the Apes or the White House, a humble mall is hardy enough to survive something close to the apocalypse. It's telling too that the mall itself is haunted, crawling with BTs, which it might be easiest to think of as ghosts if you haven't played the game. Like in Dawn of the Dead, these creatures seem doomed to float around the mall with no real purpose for all eternity, which is hard not to take as a damning critique of consumerism. The game's map isn't a one-to-one replica of the US, but overlaying a stretched out version of it on one of the United States would put this area somewhere in South Dakota. The nearest malls around here would be Uptown Aberdeen, formerly the Aberdeen Mall, or the Watertown Mall, but these are both struggling one-story malls, so neither of them quite fit here. According to a map put together by Puff Daddy-O on Reddit, Lake Knot City is likely an analogy for somewhere in Minnesota, with the Death Stranding Wikipedia suggesting it could be Duluth, so it's possible that this area is supposed to be a stand-in for Minneapolis. That idea is backed up by the presence of what appears to be part of a stadium nearby, perhaps intended to be US Bank Stadium. The architecture of this mall doesn't exactly line up with that of the Mall of America, which is what you might assume it's supposed to be given the proximity to the area it may be trying to represent, although there are a few similarities. Instead, the triangular glass ceiling of the multiple floor structure looks like a more traditional suburban mall, something like Cincinnati's Tri-County Mall or Phoenix, Arizona's Metro Center Mall. I also get shades of the Medley Center from those columns, even if they are the wrong shape. However, to date, it doesn't seem that anyone has come up with conclusive evidence one way or another that this place was based on one individual mall. And maybe in some way, that's the point. Like the rest of the world of Death Stranding, the ruins of this mall are weather-beaten and almost unrecognisable. Emphasis on the almost unrecognisable. Maybe it's the directory, the broken remnants of a skylight roof, the split escalators, or the fountain that you can watch being slowly refilled by timefall. Either way, this is unmistakably a mall. When the world ends, odds are good that it's the smaller scale structures that feel like they've already been there forever that will likely endure. There's no food court to wander here and not much in the way of storefronts to check out. But there's something comforting about knowing that, as worried as so many of us are about malls dying out, there are probably some out there that will outlive us all. If you've enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give it a like and consider subscribing. Also, my Instagram is linked in the description below. I'll be heading out of my own proverbial bunker to explore more locations in the real world very soon, but until then, goodbye from the ruins of the Middle Knot City Mall.